What up, though, y'all? It's your boy Herb.
And it's your girl Mo.
And welcome to season 2 of our soon-to-be world-renowned podcast. Young, black, and figuring it out. What up, though?
What it do?
Whatever we tell it. Hey, you feel me?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel wonderful.
Yeah? For folks who may or may not know, we about to get ready to go on our soon-to-be world-renowned hiatus. Yeah, so we want to let them know real quick though. So letting the folks know that we had an amazing part 1 of season 2.
Yes.
Some great episodes, some great interactions. People actually have really inspired us to continue to do this, just from the engagement that you all have given us. But for the holidays and to give us the time to chill out a little bit, we're going on a break. So we'll be back in the new year. Sometime in the new year with part 2 of season 2. And that one, we bringing the heat just like we brought the heat now. You feel me?
More heat. We're bringing more heat.
Yeah, it's going to be spice. Big
and
spice.
everything nice.
You feel?
Yep.
What was that? Yep. Pot of puff. All right. Good. So, hey, you know how we like to start off? I'm hyped for this episode, though. But before we do all that, what did we figure out
This week? I figured out a lot of things.
Start us off.
I would say my biggest thing was that impact mattered more than intention. You taught me that. You taught me that a few weeks ago, and I was not convinced fully.
Okay.
Though it was because I was the problem. However, I'll admit it. It was me. But more recently, I realized how much the way things are done, things are said, how people just take the time to almost hurt you intentionally. It feels that way. Yeah. Isn't always intentional. And if you are bold enough or brave enough to like come to them, speak to them, you know, and just share, hey, when you said that, that's how I felt. Or when this occurred, this is what happened within me. Yeah. But that person is almost like, not necessarily ignorant, just dismissive of your thoughts and of your feelings, and just be like, well, because you did, you know, it doesn't work. They get defensive. Yeah. And I think I realized how much it shouldn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, my goal is to share my truth and let you know how this affected me, and for me then to move accordingly. What you do after that is on you. But it almost makes me think even more about how I act and what I do. It's like, you know what? My impact matters more than always my intention. So I want to be more intentional about the things I say and do. Just because I'm out here getting beat up. That's how I feel. You know, people just hurt my feelings. Yeah. And don't seem to care.
How you going to gauge that? Like, how would you want to gauge that? You know what I mean?
Gauge what part? How I do or what they do?
How you going to gauge, like, yo, is my intent and impact matching?
Okay, so I'm already self-reflective, and I recognize some of that is based off of my own anxiety. Right. So, like, I will replay back in my mind things I've said to other people or an interaction, and if it felt weird to me, like maybe I messed up somehow, I get, like, anxious. But I've learned to kind of ask, like, in case I feel like something's off at the moment. It's like, hey, are we okay? Like, wait, is what I said okay? Like, because that's not what I meant, and I'll work through it with the person. Generally, most people are, you know, receptive
to that,
and we can work through it if there's an actual problem. But I usually just ask for feedback.
Yeah, okay.
Because my heart's in the right place, and I'm like, I don't want to hurt people. That bothers me. I can't sleep well at night if I feel like I've hurt someone. So, like, I will try to then just ask if I feel like something's off.
Yeah, I love that. That's dope.
Thank you. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, y'all.
Yeah, I hear that. Okay, that's dope.
What about you? What did you learn this week?
Similar to impact, I think that I learned or figured out this week that you really don't ever really know, like, the magnitude of the impact you're having or the influence that you can have in people's lives, you know. And sometimes you won't know. And a few times, so this is what came about. So it's a couple of things we're doing at work. So we had our podcast, actually. You know, I put one of the folks who I work with onto the podcast. Great person. Yes. I don't know if you want his name all on the podcast, so I'm not going to say it. But and I appreciate it that he actually took the time to listen to it, right? And this is somebody who I respect. Like, bro, it's a doctor. He's been a doctor for a long time, and, you know, very just a good person. Right. You know, also very intelligent, but also very patient. You know, I respect him. And so he listened to our podcast and, like, diving into the episodes. And then so he asked recently, like, yo, I really love y'all podcast. It was bringing up quotes that we've said in the episodes and has listened to pretty much a lot of them for this season.
Aww.
And, he like, that inspired me because brother has a radio voice. When I first met him, I told him that. I said, hey, you have a radio voice. Like, you should be doing radio. And so brother was like, your podcast has inspired me to go ahead and do my own. Because he already always wanted to do that. So he's like, I want to get into it. Let's talk about what I need to do and blah, blah, blah. But so just hearing that, it's like, dang, I would have never thought that
so
impact
dope.
had he not said that.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another thing with the impact, so we had did that from the space I work in healthcare. A large part of the healthcare is dealing with folks, helping folks be successful and get equity for all marginalized groups. And one of those in healthcare is people who identify as trans or non-binary. Right. And so, and that is, that's a huge gap in healthcare around equity. Right. And so small things like how people want to be identified, pronouns matter. You know what I'm saying? And like for folks who it matters to, it matters.
Right.
It really does. And so, we got these pronoun, name badges down at the gift shop. Right. So people can go buy them. I paid for the first 50 people who get them. So, it's just like, to me, it's a gesture, small gesture.
Right.
Got an email like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, I've been in these spaces, experienced being misgendered and having to correct or let people know what the correct thing is always a space of anxiety. And so just thank you. Like, I feel seen, heard, and valued. And I'm like, dang, I wasn't even, and that's my privilege, right? I don't exist in that space. But it's like, dang, I wouldn't even have known that would have impacted somebody to where it's like, yo, I feel seen now. Finally. Like, that matters.
Right. But at the same time, you kind of can when those moments when people like value you and your like your culture or your skin color, how that may impact you in some way, shape, or form. Like, instead of just thinking, we're just going to do this, it's like, let's be sensitive to what might be traumatic for some, right? And when those moments happen, it's like, I feel seen, I feel valued, I feel heard. But we have a hard time taking it outside of the things we got or we do and put it on other people. That's so dope.
Yeah. And it's like, and two, it beyond with that, because I have got our own struggle, but it's like, this isn't one of my spaces. And so if it's a point of privilege, even people who are oppressed cannot understand other people's
oppression.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that was a wake-up call. Like, oh yeah, this matters, bro. Like, so all that to say, that's what I figured out. Like, okay, impact, that matters. Like, that's a big deal, right? And what you do with it. So yeah, that was huge.
I love that. I had just seen a video of, I don't know, some years ago at Atlanta Braves game, or maybe it was recent. I don't know, because I don't follow sports. Anyway, they were saying how the team is not promoting, however they do, like, to chop it, like something about the hand going up and down. And that's because indigenous people are like, that's insensitive to their culture. And so you just see crowds in the whole stadium they're just doing it and completely disregarding the fact that they asked you to stop. That it's not encouraging.
It's
they don't want that. And it's just like, people, come on. But yes, you're right. Because people like us were in the crowd too. It don't matter.
That's a big fact. And let me go ahead and actually, by the way, at the time of this recording, it is Indigenous Peoples Month. So let's go ahead and celebrate that, by the way. We, excited. We're going to go ahead and clap that up for Indigenous Peoples Month. Yeah. Shout out to the folks. Yes. And I'm learning, like, in this new space, learning a lot. Even the idea of saying, like, people would say, oh, let's go have a powwow. That's offensive. Like, that is a cultural practice where it takes time to develop to be able to have a powwow, like, in that culture. And so we just saying that, let's go have a powwow. So disrespectful.
Just learn something new.
Yo,
literally did not know that.
That made me think about it. So yes, but once again, impactful. Anyway, we could do a whole nother podcast, but we got something to talk about today. So we gonna go ahead and slide to this. Listen, y'all. We gonna bounce back to those topics at some point.
Yeah.
But today we gotta talk about this topic because it's hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
Listen, yes, facts. Brother's 55 at heart, ain't he? Okay, but so let's break this down. We want to ask y'all a question. We just recently listened to a Red Table Talk, and if you don't know what Red Table Talk is, you're missing out because it's spicy all the time with Jada Pinkett Smith. And the most famous one, I think, was when Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith had a conversation about August Alsina and that situation.
Let's just call it entanglements.
The entanglement. Yes, I forgot the word. Oh, how I forget that? I need a t-shirt. I'm going to get that tatted.
Please don't.
But so this one, they had a conversation. They were talking, and she was sharing like the person they invited on stage. Tell me what her name.
Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah, she came in. She was also talking about, what was the name of what she was talking about? It wasn't a book or a show.
Oh, you mean the show on Netflix?
Yeah.
Love, Sex, and Goop?
Okay, yes. Had a conversation around. Yes, you can tell.
I got all the names.
Thank you. You got my back on this. Came in, had a conversation, and we're going to play the clip in a second. And they were pretty much talking about as you go through life with your partner and you're having sex, and after X amount of years, like sometimes like you just expect your partner to know, or it gets what we took from that is it might get boring or dry or all those good things.
Right. Unexciting.
Yeah, which led to the world and us to ask, how much is too much? Let's play the clip.
The thing that Will and I talk about a lot is the journey. I mean, we started in this at a very young age, 22 years old.
It's crazy.
That's why the accountability part really hit for me, because I think you expect your partner to know, especially when it comes to sex.
Right.
It's like, well, if you love me, you should know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If you love me,
you should be able to read my mind.
You should read my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a huge pitfall.
That's a huge pitfall.
Yeah, it is. I hate that.
You know,
Isn't it weird, though? It's like someone doesn't read your mind and we feel crushed. Like, we feel so disappointed. Where do we get that from?
I don't know, because I don't feel like that at all. I guess, or maybe I've just grown out of it.
I think
it's like you got to tell me what you need. Like, I can't read your mind.
Right, because I've grown out of it too.
Yeah.
Tell me what you need, tell me what you want, and on top of it, I know that I have to be accountable to do the same.
And do you?
I really try.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable,
Very.
but it's deeply healthy.
So listening to that, what was your original reactions to that clip?
Originally, I didn't understand why it blew up. Like, people went off. People are so sick and tired of Jada. Like, people are saying the rudest things, like, yo, don't get you a girl like Jada. They're just going in on her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what did she say that was actually so bad in this particular clip, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I think it's it's two things. I think it's the context, and this is not my opinion. This is given the context. I think the context of Jada having given so much to the world up until this point, and actually we were just talking about this with our producer, Wak, shout out to Wak, that she's given so much, and a lot of it, in a way, is painting Will in a negative light.
Right.
And so the way this came about, if you're listening, it's like, dang, Will ain't putting it down. Will, and even beyond that though, is Will is inattentive. You know what I mean? We don't really care. And on top of, not too long ago, she was talking about how Will was out kind of having extramarital affairs. So now it's like this narrative being painted about one of the most historical icons in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? So that is, I think, what people are like, yo, all right, Jada, enough is enough.
I mean, if the Black culture did not see them as Black love, like they were the epitome, right? Like they put them on this pedestal that really doesn't exist. And if they weren't there, had all this stuff come out prior with the entanglements, and then now, would it have been as big of a deal?
Okay, I got a thought about that. Let me tell you what I think.
I would hope.
So I think that the way we have been in the Black community, the way the family has almost in a way been attacked and destroyed intentionally, that we were almost looking for people to say, hey, because, things like the war on drugs, which really swooped the Black men out of the community. And if you're not familiar with that and how that happened, we actually, and this isn't conspiracy, we actually allowed drugs to come into our nation, and specifically into the most impoverished places, which because of systemic racism and poverty, went to the Black community. And then for things like cocaine, which were most prevalent in the white community, the sentences for crack, right, in the Black community were like 3 to 5 times higher.
Right.
Like people were getting like 30 years. In contrast to right now, we got opioids, and it's like, oh, we need to do something to raise awareness. This isn't right. These people are victims. We need to help them. There was none of that going on during the war on drugs, right? So we had all of that, took the family, broke it apart. So Black folks, I think at the time, were looking to say, who are our heroes? And we got Bill Cosby. I know I shouldn't have did it, but it's okay. It's a fact.
They've all come crumbling down, clearly.
Okay. That's a whole nother episode. We got Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil, and Aunt Viv. We got Martin and Gina. We got and we got Jada and Will.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they got up to that point. And we just wanted them so bad. Even so much as the famous line J. Cole goes,
"Don't people know
I want
me?
a real love, dark skinned Aunt Viv love, that Jada and that Will love."
I hear the line. I just can't recite it. I don't know why you trying to do me like that. Like,
I put you on the spot. Say, what's the
you
line?
trying to hurt me? Like,
My bad.
Impact and intention.
Oh. But nah. So yeah, that's what I think though. That's why I think that came about.
I agree with you. Like that makes all the sense in the world.
I know you're going. Yeah.
It's just a level of, if I have to give them the benefit of the doubt, they are being so honest, right? They're not sugarcoating it. They're not putting it and presenting it and saying like everything is lovey-dovey all the time. We are butterflies, because that's not like that doesn't
marriage.
happen. It's not realistic for an individual, let alone a couple, let alone a family. Like we all have stuff. There's always some forms of dysfunction or things that aren't working. Doesn't mean that you're not working to make it better. They just haven't fronted for you. Like, ain't nobody out here playing games. And the public don't want to hear it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like if Barack and Michelle start talking junk like this, ain't nobody here for that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. They want to believe that perfection is achievable.
Yeah. That's where I'm going to. Okay. I wanted to go there because I'm with you. So I was going to ask, is that level of transparency a bad thing in relationships, right? It's to come out and be able to speak about these things. Is that a bad thing in relationships?
Yes and no. I'm always yes and no. I don't never just say one
You
way.
a politician. You a politician. Monique for president.
Thank you for voting for me. I had a teacher tell me she would never. Anyway, it hurt.
Be in black and white spaces too, coming soon. But go ahead.
But no, I think it can be too much at times. So like transparency between you as a couple is needed. However, with that comes the responsibility of not necessarily catering, but not necessarily being blunt. Like you don't need to give blunt force trauma to get your point across. You know what I mean?
You mean to one another?
Toward one another,
Okay.
like when it comes to transparency. When it comes to outside of your relationship and how other people see you or what's going on, I don't think everyone needs to know every nitty-gritty detail. I don't think family, friends, unless this relationship is abusive and actually like harming you, nobody needs to know the ins and outs of all things. That's problematic. Like you're inviting unnecessary energy and opinions that you do not need and attention into your relationship, right? So I feel like what Jada has been trying to say or do, her intention has been in the right place. Her impact has been so negative because I don't necessarily think she's going about it the right way, at least for her relationship or what she's like her goal. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I see it in your face. You got something.
You know me. I think it's different. I think it's levels, right? I think I'll speak personally. For my personal relationship, I am very private. Like, I remember being in, like, even to this day, people like, hey, you don't put up this picture. Like, nah, not with me in there. Nah, I'm not gonna be in there. Or that's the thing. Like, and that comes from, at least for me, like, hey, if you put stuff out there, you didn't give people ammunition to use on you. You know what I'm saying? That's like a trauma-informed decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, hey, nah, I seen this is how people, because if you put something up that looks like standing strong, people want to actually test it. Like, let's see, is it really? Let's see if we can topple that down. So that's that. In the public light, though, for Will and Jada, who they experienced that anyway, right? Regardless of what's happening. I think what they're doing, and I think what she's doing, at least in that context, or in general, I agree with it. The reason why, I do. I agree with it. The reason why is exactly what you just said. We have this fallacy of marriage. Like, we really believe, I think people go into it and they're thinking like, yeah, it's going to be this idealistic fantasy. It's like, nah, I actually think, and you have been around and are working with couples and marriages, so you know better than me, but it's like, I don't think that exists. I think, and if it does, I think it's like a blue moon. You know, you might see it once in the blue. It's like, was that really, you know? I think them exposing that, say, hey, this is how things really work. This is what it's really like. Right. Like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I still do want that Jada and that Will love. Why? It seems honest. They seem like they're on the same page. They seem like they can discuss things. They seem like they went through hard and troubled times. They can make it work.
True.
I actually am cool with that versus the opposite, where I know there's folks who look great, but I know it's looking horrible. And then for them, they're influencing the culture to say, hey, this is how these things look. Now, they haven't come out and actually say, this is the, I haven't seen them give, this is the work we do, and this. It just seems like a lot of mess. Yeah. We do need some Will and Jada, we need some clarity.
See, that's why when it's like you say I would still want that love. Like, nope. The moment they said bad marriage for life, I'm good. I wouldn't want to even label.
You still have it?
I ain't letting that go. I don't want to label my relationship as no bad nothing. Like, nah, we gonna speak affirmations up in here. You hear me? Like,
thriving marriage,
honest marriage, transparent marriage. You could have said all that. Nah, bad marriage for like, get out of here.
Yeah. That was a play on Bad Boys, I thought.
I know it was. However, I don't support it.
Yeah, I feel that. You speaking that to the world.
You know, I didn't like that. But no, I get that. I do like that they are honest to almost to a fault. It's almost like you ain't need to be that honest. Like, it's quite okay. However,
hit them with the however.
I think it would behoove them to keep some things a little more private. And I don't know if it's just the way that they communicate, because in those interviews or sometimes it just doesn't even seem like they like each other.
Really?
You know what I mean? I mean, when it's the Red Table Talk times,
yeah,
it seems less of that. But when Will first came out on IG and he was just doing the most and showing all these like family trips and stuff, you could see the love. Like, you could see how they just engage with each other. And so I think people were really hooked on that. Like, yes, that's my couple. Yes, I love to see it. And then she gets on the table with her daughter and her mother and starts just saying too much. It's like, girl, wait. What happened? And then even the discussion about August was so vague that it lacked enough clarity for people to really even see it from her perspective, right? And so, like, they made Will out to be almost some kind of, like, victim when he ain't innocent. Like, he'll admit he ain't innocent, but he also ain't coming out and saying what he said or saying what he did. You know what I mean? It's like how Jay-Z and Beyonce did. Like, Beyonce was telling you all the truth from all these different songs. This man was out here doing all kinds of foolishness, and he finally came out and told the truth in, like, what, 444 album?
Look at you know a little hip hop.
Don't ask me a song. I couldn't tell you nothing. Right, but like, people think it was lemonade for her. It was like she was singing about Ring the Alarm, going through it for this man.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
It's like there is no perfect relationship. They don't exist, and we like to blind ourselves.
Yes, but that's why I love that they came out with the truth, though. Because it's like, yo, we get to see that. Because it's like that. Because you know what people do? At least from what I'm just putting this out there for me. And in my space of dating, the conversations are like, it's almost as if that is the standard. Like the Jada and that Will love, or Jay-Z and Beyonce, or stuff we see on Instagram. It's like, yo, what? If you expected me to be that, I'm just not gonna happen. Because that's not real. It does not exist. And like, that's the standard. So I almost think the public's reaction to it is more the problem. It's like, oh, how could they? Just like, nah.
I mean, they did the same with Aisha Curry. You remember?
Oh yeah, I was tight. So you're right. Yeah, I'm a part of this.
And I'm here like, if you really think about what she's trying to say, she didn't say what she was trying to say, but she tried to say what she was trying to say, and it didn't work out.
What she was trying to say?
She was just saying like,
What happened for the people who don't know? Aisha Curry is who?
Steph Curry's wife.
Yeah.
Who let me, like, if I get the details wrong, forgive me, because it's been a while.
I got you.
However, she said something like, I don't even remember where, but she said it like she misses getting that kind of attention, like almost like catcall type of attention.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it kind of boosts her ego or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, for everyone to front, like, someone hitting on you or finding you attractive, don't boost your ego. It's like, come on now.
And she was also saying it in the context of now people know that she's Steph Curry's wife, so they don't even try it, but he gets tried all the time.
Right. Which is just, I mean, the dynamics of society when it comes to men and women. However,
somebody's upset. Somebody is upset. All right, go ahead.
I'm all here for fairness and equality, but they came at her so heavy when she was just being honest. Right. And I'm like, was that necessarily a statement you needed the public to know? Yeah. No, because I think in their minds they're like, a bunch of people can relate to this. Yeah. Yes, but ain't nobody want to relate to this. Like, nobody wants to see or hear.
That's our problem, right? That's our problem.
I mean, yes, you're right. They didn't do anything wrong. I'm just not always a fan of putting ourselves in that position. Like, I'm not about to just be out here talking all the truth so you could now come at me. I ain't got time to deal with you. Who are you?
Yeah.
But that's just me. Maybe.
So then the question, we still beg the question. This is good. We have not come to an answer with this.
We don't know the answer.
Right. We might be right. But it's like, how much is too much? Like, is there a line? Is there a point? I think it's gonna be based on couples. It's gonna be based on what you can do,
or what you've done, and what you've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what I think that this reminds me of, like, the Jada and that Will Love things that look great reminds me almost of how I think parents, not necessarily our parents or just my parents, but parents I've seen kind of keep things from children, and then you grow up in like this false narrative.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, you like confused because
Right.
you saw it in this false way.
Right. The lack of transparency or honesty or even like full clarity with
sure.
kids end up following the same pattern.
Yeah.
And then almost have shame or guilt and don't feel like they can talk to anybody about it.
Right.
Not knowing this has either been happening for generations
Yeah,
or
people
happened
know.
with my parent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
you're
opposite
right.
of transparency is like secrecy. And I don't know if so let's dive into that. I think that for relationships, I guess how much is too much is when it harms you. Like, it depends on what you can handle, I would say, right? Like if Jada and Will are communicating, they can handle that, and they say, hey, we want to put this out for people to understand and digest, great. But if it's actually affecting your marriage, or
Right.
affecting your relationship, or affecting whatever,
Or affecting your mental health.
then
Yes.
I would say that's the case. But I do think there's at a certain point, some things have to come out. Like
True.
if the difference is they on a world stage. Like if we did a Red Table Talk, we might not get 5 million people commenting in a day. But you know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't affect us in that way. But I do think there's a space where you have to have these conversations. 'Cause
Right.
I didn't get these conversations.
I also think some of these conversations should be private. So not secret, but like they just shouldn't necessarily be
that was
on
a-
stage.
That was a bar.
That's what gets me, because people aren't having these conversations in private either. They're just
Right.
not occurring.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about this, like everyone has their own shadow side.
Right.
You bring your shadows to your marriage. What kind of marriage do you think you got? You know what I mean? Like
A shadowy marriage.
Ooh,
Mad shadowy.
you want a shot for that? Or that wasn't it.
Go ahead.
But like that's the stuff that's like, if we're not ever even trying to attempt to work through this, like people go in, like you said, thinking that marriages are supposed to be perfect and they'll just happen this way without the work.
Yeah.
Nah, you want to bring your worst self to it, and then you are in this bad marriage.
Bad marriage for life. But yeah, no, I hear that. But I guess for me, as I'm like progressing through life and becoming more seasoned, I'm looking.
You really want to be old, like I can't.
But for real, like as I'm progressing, I'm starting to look back and say, man, I wish I would have gotten this knowledge. Like stuff was like hoarded for me.
Right.
On so many topics like relationships, communication, sex, like all of that.
Oh yeah.
Was just more like figure that out.
That's not discussed.
Yeah, marriage and like why things don't work out, why communication doesn't, like all of that. Just kind of you were left to interpret.
Right. Because you've been told to do this or to not do that. No explanation.
There's no why, and then when you ask why,
What I tell you to do?
because I said so, because I told you. You know
Like,
what I'm saying?
can I please have some foreknowledge as to why this is important? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? I don't want to be a robot.
Yeah.
I would love to think for myself. Yeah.
Right. So and that's why in that discussion it mattered, and because it was Jada, why I actually enjoyed it was because, like, here's the truth. In the black context or in the white context, folks been having those conversations forever because they weren't necessarily worrying about survival. You know what I'm saying? Or worrying about like the image we have to uphold. And so what's her name again?
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah, Gwyneth Pepper from Iron Man. Her having a conversation is gonna hit different.
I can't
Like if
with
she
you.
just went on some, if she did her own white table talk and she went on there and did that, people wouldn't have had the same reaction than Jada.
Why couldn't it be Blue Table Talk?
Her was racist out here, yo. But nah, she went ahead and did her own table talk, and it wouldn't have been the same response. But because this was a Jada and Will black woman, I think it got a big response.
It's interesting because even if you listen to more of the episode, like Jada said she had the conversation about sex with Willow at 5 because Willow asked. But when it came to Gwyneth, she said that was like 6th grade for her kids. Why? Because they had full sex education in school and came home with questions. I was like, what's that?
Yeah,
They do that?
Oh Lord,
And it was thorough. Excuse me.
yeah, that's a future episode, y'all. We're gonna be hitting y'all over the head with that. But yeah,
Yeah, access. It's like you could lead you to more
And I wonder
open conversations.
For sure. And I wonder, like, too, how that goes for men. Maybe when we got gender roles, too, coming. I can't wait for that one. But maybe talk about that, how that even plays into,
Because I was about to go off earlier when we were talking about Ayesha Curry. I was like, because you know what happened? But I'm going to behave.
Go ahead.
Nah, because you remember what happened with Derrick Jackson, y'all? You remember this man is, for anyone who doesn't know, the relationship coach, like the guy who's telling you about what your man is doing and how it's wrong and what you need to find as a woman to be better. He is the example of manliness, right?
Is this your king? Because all you women, no, I'm playing.
Like, he got married and it was so private secret that you didn't even know he got married. You know what I mean? Right.
If he would have Jada and Will, well, go ahead, my bad.
But soon enough, you find out that he been cheating on his wife for who knows how long.
Yeah.
That they are separated, and this is right after he talking about he dropping a book about how we made it type of thing. The backlash lasted how long? You feel me? Did he really lose followers? Nah. Did he lose sponsorships?
He gained followers and dropped another book.
And I bet more women like slid right into that DM. Like, it's the stuff like that. And who did they play but the wife? Like, they went at the wife. Yeah. She became the target of the jokes and the humor and the foolishness.
Yeah, as Malcolm X said, black women are the most unprotected, neglected, disrespected group of people. But yes, I'm over it. But no, you're right. Gender roles and that definitely plays a part. But that goes to the thing, the secrecy part. Like, anywho, don't get me started on that. But nah, and I also want to say, while we're here, can we be honest about Derrick Jackson?
I love that you always ask this question. Yes, we can be honest. We're always honest.
Can we say it to the folks? I ain't gonna hold you. We had a Derrick Jackson episode. And listen, it did not come to light. Maybe the future and deleted scenes.
And that's gonna stay in the archives.
Let's leak it, and then listen. This is gonna be there. Okay.
It would have been a good one, y'all. Our bad.
It's okay. No, but I ain't gonna lie. That while we here, that actually made me upset because he was like this glorified like idol. And like people would say, like, look, why can't you be more like Derrick Jackson? And all the brothers.
I was one of those like 5 years ago, y'all.
All the brothers here like, can't stand Derrick Jackson. When he took the L, we was high fiving the chest bumping like, I told you, ain't nobody that perfect.
Nah. He was a self-proclaimed relationship expert, and I'm like, who put you here?
That's about. Is this your king for real?
Yo.
But anyway, okay, we off topic.
Good
but no, okay, all right. So, do we have an answer?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We said that it's dependent on the relationship, the situation, some of the stuff you may have done. I mean, there's some stuff I don't think public needs to know. I think your relationship needs to know. I think that needs to be as open as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's ask the people this then. Okay. Since we obviously don't have an answer. Actually,
he don't like my answers. That's what that is.
Nah, that's okay. I feel that. How much is too much in a relationship? Right? Like, should people share? And does that give it power to not be perfect? Right? Or if you share too much, right? If you share too much, does that then hurt your relationship and then hurt the ideals that people have for relationships and marriage, right?
Right.
What do you all think is the real question?
I'm wondering if they're going to be like, might depend on the partner.
Might depend on the partner. And the other question, too, we should probably ask folks, because they might be listening right now like, yo, what in the world are they talking about? I'm like, listen, we might be right.
We might be wrong.
But at the end of the day, we just young, black, and figured it out.
DC on the track, boy.